Thank you so much for joining me today, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my camera and how I rig it out. So the reason that you want to be rigging out your camera is because it's going to help you fully utilize every aspect of your camera. Now when you're shooting handheld, it's going to be adding weight to it, so it's going to be making it a little bit easier to get those steady shots. So I'm going to be actually building out my camera and explaining each part and why I need to use each one of them. I also have an overhead camera. Hi. So you're going to be able to see multiple angles of how I build the camera and how it looks. So starting it off is the camera body, the Canon Eos R. Now this camera is a great hybrid camera. It does great at videos, it does 4K and log. It also has a 30 megapixel sensor, I believe, but this camera, every single day that I use it, it just still amazes me every time I use it. I have so much great things to say about this, and it's honestly one of the best cameras that I've used. So the next thing is going to be the camera cage. Now this is the small rig camera cage for the Canon Eos R. They do make certain cages for certain cameras just because of the different ports on them or the different mounting options, but make sure that you get the cage though that you need for your camera. So the tools that I'll be using for this to build everything out is only going to be the small rig multi-tool. You could bring this thing with you everywhere because it's very small, very lightweight. It's not going to be adding weight to anything, and it's not even going to be taking up that much space either in your pockets or in your camera bag. But let's get the cage onto the camera. Now what's really nice about this cage is it actually comes with a tool that's magnetically attached to the cage. But I choose not to use this. I just tend to like using this a little bit better. This seems a little bit more better in my hands, and I can tighten the screws down a little easier. So the next thing then is going to be my lens. Now what I use is a Canon RF 24-70mm lens. This is an f2.8, and this lens stays glued to my camera, either it be photos or videos. This camera pretty much does everything that I need it to do. So the next thing now is going to be my top handle. This top handle is from SmallRig. It is that rubber grip instead of a wooden or a metal grip. I find this to give me a little bit more grip with that weight, and also I don't have to worry about it being too hot or too cold on certain days. The rubber grip stays at a reasonable temperature no matter what temperature it is outside. So now the next thing is going to be my side handle. Now this side handle is part wooden, part aluminum, but this is a nice little side handle if I need to start pulling focus manually, and I could hold the camera with this. Now this handle also is from SmallRig as well, and it's honestly super cheap and it's super versatile in how you can mount it to your camera cage. What's really handy too about this is it comes with an Allen key that's magnetically attached to the bottom of it. You could take this and use it to just fully tighten down your screws so you have a secure connection to the cage. Now both of these handles do have cold shoes on them, which gives you even more mounting options. Now what I do for memory, I use these SanDisk Extreme Pro 170 megabits per second and 128 gig cards. These cards actually let me record everything that I need to in the camera. I can record everything that this camera can record to this card except for 4K 10-bit. Now when it comes to power options, what I use is actually a dummy battery. I can put in a normal battery onto here, but I run this whole thing through a V-mount battery. The dummy battery that I use is this Condor Blue LP to D-tap battery. By using a dummy battery, it's going to allow you to actually run your camera for much longer depending on the size of the V-mount battery. But I will say no matter what V-mount battery you use, it's always going to give you more runtime than using the actual Canon LP batteries. After I get the battery attached, what I like to attach next is a base plate. Now this base plate is from SmallRig. It's what's going to hold my 15mm rods, so I could attach the V-mount battery plate to it and also I could attach a matte box and a follow focus. So after I install the base plate, I like to install my two 15mm 12-inch long rods. Now these are from Small Rig as well, and the 12 inches I find are going to be the perfect length for me for everything that I attach to this rig. And then when you install these, you want to make sure they're at equal lengths, because you want to make sure all of the mounting supports are going to be at the same length. And typically, I like to have these reach to the end of my lens, so then I have enough playroom for my matte box. So from here, I like to attach my gear, so then I could attach the follow focus. Now, this is very nice because if you use a photography lens, you don't have the gears like you do in a cinema lens, so you get to attach one of these onto there, and it gives it enough grip, so then you could actually use a follow focus. I always like to make sure that this is going to be even all the way across, so then I have full contact with the wheel at any part of the lens. So the camera battery died and I had to take a little break. But jumping into the next thing though, it's going to be the follow focus. Now this is the Tilta Mini follow focus, but you do want to go with something a little bit more expensive. They're going to tend to have a little bit more resistance and a little bit more fluid, so then it's going to be easier to pull focus and being precise with it all. And what is very nice about this is that you could actually switch the gear over to this side, so if you want to pull with the left hand or if you want to pull with the right. But for me, I like to pull with the right, but let's get this attached. So while we are on the subject of the lens, what I like to put in front of it is an ND filter. Now when it comes to putting filters onto your camera, you want to make sure it's of good quality, because you don't want a poor quality piece of glass on the good quality glass that you already have. You're going to take away that sharpness, you're going to take away that good look that the lens pretty much has already. So now moving into what I use for a monitor. I use the Atomos Ninja 5. Now this is a monitor and an external recorder. So why I chose the Ninja V with the Eos R is because it unlocks actually some features inside this camera. I could shoot 4K 10-bit 422 actually externally, and that's just going to give you a little bit more room to play with your colors, and typically it's going to look a little bit better, less bending, and it's just going to give your image overall a better look. Now, paired with this is the Western Digital SSD. This is a 256 gigabyte SSD. It is cheaper than what Atomos is paired up with I think it's called Blue Angel or Angel Drives or something like that. But it comes with a caddy itself already, so then it could fit in perfectly. And I mount this right on top of the top handle on that cold shield. Now when it comes to power for this, I like to use the Condor Blue dummy battery. Now you can see I have it taped up here because I kind of busted it up on a shoot the one day, but this allows me to attach it to the V-mount battery that powers the camera as well. Now moving into the actual power source, here is the Condor Blue V-mount battery plate. Now this gets attached to the end here, just like that, with a little extra room in between, so then I still have room to flip out my screen. Now the reason I chose this one that's a little bit more than other competitors, now the reason I chose this plate over some other ones was just because I feel like Condor Blue has a higher level of quality when it comes to their products. I actually bought a dummy battery once through Small Rig and it blew the circuits on my camera and I had to send it away and didn't have a camera for 2 weeks. So when it comes to power, I say it's gonna be better to go with the more expensive one, usually because it's gonna be of higher quality and it's not gonna blow some things out. Next is gonna be the V-mount battery. This thing powers my Aperture 120D light and it also powers all of this. It will power all of this for I don't even know because it's never ran out on me. So it is a big battery, and it comes with the D-tap port already in it, and then the power plate comes with the D-tap as well. So I use the 2 D-taps to power the camera and the monitor. And now let's do some cable management before we go into the next thing. So the one thing I did forget is attaching the HDMI to the camera and to the Atomos. What I use is the Condor Blue HDMI 1 foot to 2 foot coiled cable. It is a full HDMI to a mini HDMI, and this cable is pretty nice just because, as you can see, and it could extend and shrink, which helps with cable management. Now, the very last thing is going to be a microphone. What I like to use is a shotgun mic, and it is by Rode. It is the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. Now this microphone is so much better than what the internal microphone is in the camera. So now this microphone, since it is a shotgun mic, it only picks up sounds from the front instead of the sides and the rear. It helps eliminate all of those, and it gives you just a nice crisp sound when shooting videos out in the field. But there you have it. That is everything that I use to build up this camera. Everything on here has its own purpose of the reason why it's on here. Now yes, I have a little bit of a gap here, but that's if I want to put a receiver in there, if I need to have a second monitor that's going to be receiving feed wirelessly. I could also attach a matte box to the front if I chose so, but I don't really have a need for that just yet. And matte boxes can be real expensive, and the filters too, so until I have a need, I don't think I'm going to have a matte box. But there you have it. If there's anything that you want that I talked about in this video, I will leave a link to it in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next.